guess it's time for a June update. What's going on in my vegetable garden? Well, I have an awful lot of things happening right now, and some things that are ready to be changed over. First off, let's take a look at the tomato bed. It's doing quite well. Matter of fact, all the tomato cages are exploding, and I need bigger, better tomato cages. Everything is growing really, really well. It's not even June yet. It's still the end of May, and I have a lot of tomatoes coming on already. I took a chance this year. I kind of gambled. Oh, look at all those big bad boys down there. That's beautiful. Some down there. I see one ripe one down there. Anyway, I took a gamble and I planted earlier than I normally do. And we got lucky this year. We didn't have any cold snaps, and for the most part, most of my tomatoes are doing pretty well. We did get a little deer invasion that they broke the fence and they came in here and nipped down the tips of a lot of these, but they seem to have come back okay, thank goodness. Now we're battling rabbits again. I came in the yard yesterday and there was 3 rabbits in here, so I've got the little have-a-heart trap in there. Caught one already. I seem to do fairly well by kind of funneling it down, putting in areas and hiding the openings, and the rabbits kind of run through the tunnel and I catch them that way. This area right here is about ready to be reprocessed. I cut a lot of my herb garden way back because it was just so overgrown. It was dominating this space. We've got some chives and we've got a little bit of everything going on in here, but it's time to do a little house cleaning. Swiss chard is just about shot. This is the magic kale, the dino kale. It just keeps coming back. You can see I cut that one back to the ground. Amazingly, they just keep resurrecting themselves. I cut them all the way down and new ones come back. So I eat a lot of kale. Here's something that's pretty cool. I planted a lot of leeks this year and they're all going to seed. I've been eating some of them, but I really like leeks for a number of reasons. I think they're a beautiful plant. When these things open up, they are just magic-looking flowers. And leeks they're kind of like an onion. They taste a little bit like an onion if you stir fry them, or I've heard of potato leek soup before. I've had that, and that's pretty good stuff. It's time to clear out most of my lettuce. I ate as much as I could, and a lot of it's just bolting now, so it's time for it to go to seed. Oh, we got snails in here. Constantly crushing snails. I don't like to use snail bait. I don't like to use any toxins or poisons in the garden, so it means I do have to pay attention to the garden a little better. I've got feverfew growing throughout the garden. It just sort of erupts everywhere. That's a real good plant. It attracts beneficial insects and deters some of the negative ones. This whole garden right in here, this was my strawberry bed last year. I still got a few of them that came back. But I kind of went without strawberries this year because you have to cycle your beds. You have to change things out. And the strawberries I had in here went 4 years. And they just didn't do so well last year, so I decided to do a bunch of other stuff. So the lettuce is all at its last stages and it's time to be resurrected. I got some collard greens over there. There's Matt's little bed over there. It's looking pretty good. He totally overplanted it few months ago, and we saw what happened there. Anyway, June in the garden. This bed's ready to be completely resurrected. The kale is, I've been cutting all the seed pods off, and it's throwing out lots and lots of little leaves, which are actually even tastier than the big ones. I really like these little leaves. And I eat kale every day that I come into the garden. I find that it gives me a real energy boost. Here's some younger kale coming up, so I'll leave those to go. Quite often when we get little seeds in here, I just kind of go through and try to nip them off to slow down the seed production, and that slows down the cycle of the plant a little bit. It's worth the effort. This bed needs planting. The bed over there needs planting. This one is, I seeded this with radishes and onions, and the onions, I had a bit of a problem. They came up and I think they got neglected a little bit, so I'm going to reseed some more onions. Got a lot more onions in this area, and that's where we are at. June in the vegetable garden. How's your garden doing? Here's something else. I did harvest a lot of my kale. It went to seed, and I picked this just a couple of weeks ago. One interesting thing about kale when you harvest the seeds is if you wait until they completely dry out on the plant, then these little seed pods, they pop open. But if you get them too soon, then the seeds aren't developed. So it's really important that you keep paying attention to them. And they get to a point where you get these little seed pods and you can break them open, and each one of these pods has 2 or 3 seeds in it, sometimes 4 or 5. There we go. Got a little handful of little kale seeds. Teeny tiny ones. But seeds are kind of expensive, and it's nice to have an abundant supply of something. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time beating this. I'm going to put it into a garbage can and beat it around and break open all these when they're fully dry, and then clean out the chaff and pour out the seeds in the bottom. And out of this bunch of seeds right here, I'll probably get maybe an ounce of seeds, which is quite a bit for such tiny little seeds.